was about to say good afternoon, but it isn't. It's good morning. I'm a little bit ahead of myself. So good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us for the next 30 minutes or so while I talk to you about your narrative, really, and how to communicate that effectively via social media. So just to give you, first of all, a little bit of background as to why I'm here. So as I was introduced, my name's Amy Hobson. I'm digital marketing lead trainer with a company called Social Bee. We are international digital marketing experts, which basically what that means is we help everybody with everything online. Yeah, and we do that both here in the UK and internationally as well. What makes us a little bit different in our space, though, is that we're not just an agency. So we are an agency, but we also have a training business as well alongside it. So we're about 50-50. That's where I come in. I'm part of the training team. What I love about it, though, from my perspective, is that I have a digital marketing team who do this all the time, every day, for our clients and who are managing it. So we are both retained and trained, if you like. So when all of those things start changing on social media, when things start changing with the digital marketing, I've got a finger in that little bit there that means I can pick up what's going on there. And in reverse for that as well, all of the clients that I meet through training and events like this, I can pass on some of those challenges to our digital team for us to figure out the best way around it for our clients. And you can see, obviously, some of the accreditations that you'd expect. Some of our clients along the bottom as well, of those I've worked with Visa and Superdry from a training capacity. So this is what I'm going to be talking about in particular today. So this is what we're going to be looking at. So we're going to look at, first of all, why social media should be part of your narrative. I had a conversation with somebody a couple of weeks ago at a networking event, and they were kind of like, oh, but is social media really worth it? Is it worth the hassle? Is it worth the time that we have to spend on it? My answer to that is absolutely, but only if you do it strategically. If you don't, you're going to be a busy fool, and we'll look at why that might be the problem. We're also going to look at which platforms you should consider. Newsflash, you don't have to be on everything. You don't have to be on TikTok if your audience isn't there. You don't have to be on Snapchat. You don't have to be on LinkedIn. But you do need to be where your audience are, so we'll look at some of those things. I'm also then going to look very briefly at a couple of things within your social media strategy. So making sure that you're speaking to the right people at the right time. Who here would class themselves as being a really busy person? Raise your hands. Yeah? So anytime you do spend on this, it's really important that you get the most out of it. You don't want to be doing things that don't work for you. And that's one of those things that we can look at. We can pick apart some of those things. So we can figure out that you're doing the right thing at the right time. And then some top tips for your effective social media. So it's not just good enough to be on it. You want to be making the most out of it. And you want to be effective when you do it. That's really what the key is more than anything else. So first of all, why social media? Every year at the end of January, early February, there's a big report that comes out called We Are Social, and this is an extract from it. Now, as a digital marketing trainer, it's great because it gives us all the new data and all the new information about how people are using social media, how they're using the internet, etc. However, my slides automatically become out of date. Yeah, so I avoid training around those times so that I alleviate the pressure a little bit. But this is basically based in the United Kingdom. Now, if you're interested in more data around this, the report is open source. So if you search for We Are Social Report 2024, you will be able to find out all of this information for yourself and a lot more besides than this. I'll be honest with you, this is literally an extract. The slides are about 170 pages. Yeah, so it's a really big, beefy report. You can also look, and this is why it's quite interesting, if you're looking at foreign markets, if you're looking at international, it will also break it down in international as well, both by region and by country. So if you're kind of thinking, should I be on Instagram if I'm in Germany? It'll give you that answer because it'll tell you how it's being used in Germany. Yeah, so it's a really useful report from that perspective. And you can see here, the number of social media user identities is 56 million. So there's an awful lot of us who are active on social media here in the United Kingdom. So if we break that down just a little bit more, these are the main reasons for using social media that are given as part of this report. Yeah? So at the top, not surprisingly, keeping in touch with friends and family. That's what we'd expect, yeah? If we go down that list, it starts to get a little bit more interesting. So filling our spare time, yeah? Who stands waiting for a train, waiting for your coffee to be done, waiting for your cup of tea in the morning and has a quick look at social media, yeah? Not surprisingly, we fill it with spare time a lot. However, that doesn't mean we're not taking stuff in that spare time. So there's an awful lot of time that we spend on it, and I'll come to how much time we actually spend on it in a second. Reading news stories. So finding out more about the news and about things that we're interested in. Now, that could be around the eco world. Yeah, so it might be, if that's what I've got an interest in, that's the kind of news that I'm looking for. Finding content, articles, videos, seeing what's being talked about, because we're nosy as hell. Yeah, that's one of the main objectives. Nobody admits it on here. That keeping in touch with friends and family, we're just being nosy. Yeah, that's what the main one is. Posting about your life, finding inspiration for things to do and buy. Yeah, finding like-minded communities and interest groups. So if I have, at my very heart, something that I am very passionate about, and that happens to be something like being eco-friendly, environmentally friendly, living maybe a slower life, yeah, maybe switching some things out, that kind of stuff, I'm going to be finding those communities and interest groups on social media. And then as you go down, seeing content from your favourite brands. So particularly if you're following somebody, you're connected with somebody, seeing those. Avoiding missing out on things, good old FOMO. Has to put on there the fear of missing out. And then the most used social media platforms. Now, there is a platform missing from here. Can anyone see which platform it is off the list? X is on there as Twitter. Worst rebrand in history. But that's a whole other subject and conversation to have. Yeah, YouTube. They haven't included it for some reason. Yeah, but what I can tell you is that YouTube would be up near the top. Yeah, so YouTube and Facebook vied for years for first place. For some reason, for the last couple of years, this particular poll or survey hasn't had YouTube in it. Yeah, but I can guarantee it would be up near the top. So Facebook, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger and Instagram, all owned by Meta, very much dominate that social media space, and we know they do. And then time spent using social media apps. Look at TikTok. This is an average month. This isn't a year. This is an average in a month. Over 49 hours. So over 2 whole days. Now, personally, I think that's driven by my 3 teenage boys. Yeah, I've got one who's turned 22 today. He's fairly well up there as well, I would imagine. But the others are all there, I would say. And then after that, YouTube, 19 hours. So it is still there. For some reason, it's included in this one and not the previous one. Facebook, 16 hours. Snapchat, Instagram, 9, etc. And then we go down. And LinkedIn, right at the bottom, less than an hour. Yeah, partly because it's got its own natural ceiling. Yeah, it's business to business. It's always going to be seen as that. But 49 hours on TikTok. Now, this slide might make you say, well, I need TikTok then, because that's where we're spending all our time. Are your audience on TikTok? Are your buying audience on TikTok? If they are, join the TikTok. Yeah, join that revolution. If they're not, you don't need to be. You don't have to be there unless your audience is there. That's the key. So which social media platform should you choose? The thing is with social media is fundamentally they all allow us to do the same things. Yeah, they allow us to share. You might not want to know what your best friend had for lunch, but they want to share it with you. You might come across lots of things that you don't want to see, but they're being shared with you. Because fundamentally, that's what it allows us to do. It allows us to share. And it allows us to share that in a two-way conversation. So whereas broadcast, traditional media, if you like, your newspaper adverts, TV, billboards, those kinds of things, they're a push, they're a one-way. Your website, to some degree, is one-way. Yeah, digital marketing and in particular social media is two-way. It's about starting a conversation. But you need to be finding the right audience in the right place. Yeah, so that's where you need to think about the platforms. So understanding the different parts of social media is critical to doing that. Yeah, one of the key things is always going to be, where is my audience? However, just because your audience is on there doesn't mean they're on there to buy what it is that you're selling. And whether you're selling a belief, you're selling a product, you're selling a way of life, it makes no difference. You're selling something to them. Yeah, so meeting them in the right place is that biggest challenge. But just because they're there doesn't mean they're there for you. So you really need to dig into those things. Use the We Are Social report. That'll give you some information about who's on there, what demographics are on there, that kind of stuff. But then there's also a couple of things that we need to think about in how we use social media and how we use the platforms differently. So just as a very brief kind of overview, if you like, of the different ways that we have social media and we use it. So real-time content is very much what X is about. Now, it has changed. As I said, worst rebranding in history. Yeah, I still get emails from X that say X, formerly known as Twitter. That's even from their own company. Yeah, there's something wrong somewhere. But X is all about real-time content. It was created for conversation. So that's what it's there for. It's about conversation more than anything else. They've claimed recently that they're a video-first platform. They're not. They might want to be, and that might be their aspiration, but they're not there yet. Facebook is engaging content, but it has to be two ways. It's about storytelling, very much about storytelling. And not only does that engagement and that two-way conversation drive the algorithms, it's also a part of what we go to Facebook for. Instagram is that visual storytelling. It's that perfect moment that's taken me 3.5 hours to recreate because I needed the lighting right. Yeah, but that's what it is. That's Instagram. Yeah, but it is about that visual side of storytelling. So it's who we are, what we do, but from a visual perspective. You can't create anything without that visual there. LinkedIn, very professional, should showcase your key skills. video with emotional appeal on YouTube, but also practical appeal. So the most used search on YouTube is how to. Yeah, because that's what a lot of us still go to it for. Pinterest, inspirational and practical. Yeah, so it's all about different ways that you can create, the way that you can be inspired by that as well. And then TikTok is the fun and entertaining side of it. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't talk about the same thing, but you have to frame it differently. And this, for me, is one of the biggest things that I see time and time again, even with big brands. Or if it goes on Instagram, or put it on Facebook. Your audience is different, the platform is different, it treats your content slightly differently as well. So you have to understand how those platforms work as part of that. So understanding which one of these is the right one for you, or how you focus it, is what you need to do. So, for example, on Facebook, you might talk about how you've sourced a particular product, yeah, why you love it, why you're passionate about it, how people can use it. Yeah, on YouTube, you're going to show them how it makes their life easier. It's the same product. I don't want to know about your inspiration. I want to know what it does. Yeah, I want to see what it does. On LinkedIn, it might be if you've got a product that you want to sell and you want to do it wholesale, that's where your wholesalers will be. That's where your suppliers are that you can meet. Yeah, you're going to sell it in a different way. So you're going to sell it from a cost-benefit analysis rather than the fact that it makes my life easier. Yeah, they don't need to know that. They want to know what it means for them and for their bottom line. Same product, but you're selling it in different ways. And that's where that focus comes in, and understanding how those platforms work. Now, lots of businesses that I come across will post on something on Instagram, it automatically feeds to Facebook. You can do that. Yes, you can. The platforms allow you to do that. But with this information, is that the right thing to do? Probably not. You need to at least adjust the focus a little bit. This is something that I think is one of the easiest things to get wrong, but also one of the easiest things to fix. So every time you're on a platform, think about, what do my audience want from me? What do they want from me on here that might be different? You can talk about the same thing. You can talk about the same products, the same ideas, the same beliefs, but you have to frame it slightly differently for your relevant audience on there. Years ago, I had, this was pre-COVID, there was a client that we were working with who had a craft subscription box. Yeah, and there was a husband and wife team who owned it, and she was absolutely adamant that she wanted to be on LinkedIn. And I said to her, you can go on LinkedIn, you can ignore all of my advice if you want to, but I'm going to ask you this. Those professionals on LinkedIn do craft at the weekend. Absolutely. They might love your craft subscription box, but they're not on there as a crafter. They're on there with their professional head on. And if you want to connect with buyers on there, or suppliers or wholesalers, go for it. That's where they will be. But the person, the end user of your craft box, isn't on there to buy craft. Yeah, when I go onto LinkedIn, I do lots of craft at the weekend. My partner calls it something different because I normally swear at it. It's not craft as far as he's concerned. But I do lots of those things. I love doing all of those things. But when I'm on Facebook, I'm finding ideas, I'm finding things. When I'm on Pinterest, I'm looking for inspiration. But on LinkedIn, I'm on there as a digital marketing manager. Yeah, I'm on there for a completely different reason. So it's important to understand the mindset of your potential buyers on there as well. Because this is fundamentally what social media is about. Yeah? It's about the right content to the right person at the right time and the right place. Yeah? So place is all about your platform. So where are you going to be? Yeah? The right time might be the right time for them to be on there, but also the right time for them to buy. Yeah? So if it's a product, for example, that's for Christmas, now some people are starting to buy, but you try and sell Christmas products at the start of June or July, people aren't interested. Yeah, as we start to hit colder weather, as it starts to get a little bit wetter, a little bit colder, a little bit darker at night, that's when you'll be able to start selling those products. But you'll struggle to do those in June or July, even if you're posting at the right time for when your audience are online. And in terms of when they're online, you can find that out through your analytics. So your measurement will tell you that. The right person, yeah? I will only drink Coca-Cola. Yeah, I do not like Pepsi. Yeah, I've got a very sensitive palate when it comes to the taste in Pepsi. I've done lots of blind taste tests because my friends don't believe me. Every single time I can tell you which is Pepsi and I can tell you which is Coke. Pepsi, one of the biggest companies in the world, cannot sell to me. Yeah, Coca-Cola can, but Pepsi can't. Same as if you're Android and you love Android, you're not going to walk into an Apple shop. So even the biggest businesses in the world can't sell to everybody. So you have to know who your right person is for you to sell to. Yeah, so it's understanding who your audience is. We'll come on to that in a little bit more in a minute. And then the right content. Yeah, so the right message for me. Yeah, so again, that framing. Yeah, if I'm on Facebook, I want to know how it's going to make my life easier and how pretty it looks. If I'm on LinkedIn, I don't want to know that information. So how do we pull that together or start to pull that together a little bit in terms of a social media strategy? The first one is to really think about your audience. Yeah, you don't have to sell to everybody. You have to sell to the people who want to buy from you. Yeah? It's not about communicating or connecting with anybody. I do lots of networking. I speak to lots of businesses, both small and large businesses, and this is one of the easiest traps they fall into. I'll say to them, who's your audience? And they'll go, oh, we could sell to anybody. And a little bit inside me dies, because you can't. And I have to break the news to them that you can't. Just like Pepsi can't sell to me, because I would rather drink anything. I'd rather drink petrol than drink Pepsi. Seriously, I hate the stuff. Yeah, they can't sell to me because nobody can sell to everybody. And the problem is if you try and sell to everybody, you'll end up connecting with nobody. Yeah, so think about your customers. Doesn't matter what your competitors are doing. It doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. It's about your customers and who are more likely to buy from you. So who is that? Is it existing customers? Don't forget your existing customers. Yeah, give them lots of love. Is it potential customers, existing customers? Is it other local businesses, depending on obviously what you're trying to achieve or what you're trying to do? And then think about their demographics. Does it matter where they live? Do you cover the whole of the UK or do you do international? Yeah, does it matter how old they are or what gender they are? Is there a particular split in terms of some of the products that you sell that may lean more towards one than another one? And then from a language perspective, this isn't necessarily whether they speak English or Dutch or Japanese or any of those languages. It's literally about the type of language that you use. So if you're a really down-to-earth person and you try to be formal, you'll fall flat every time. People will see it. Yeah. So what kind of language do your audience use? Equally, if you're very much a kind of like down-to-earth, family-run business, and I meet you and you're very suited and booted and very formal, it's going to create a massive distrust because I'm like, that's not who I was expecting to see here. Recently did some work with a solicitors. And I was in London anyway, so I went to see them for a quick half hour to discuss some of their training needs with them. And I walked in and I could smell the lawyer. Dark panelling, suited and booted, everybody. And one of the things they wanted training on was how they could be more upbeat and more young and cool. I was like, you can't, because it's never going to work for you, because that's not who you are at your ethos. That's not who you are as a business. So you have to be transparent and genuine with that. So this is an exercise. If you haven't already done this and you haven't already got a couple of personas that you sell to, I would urge you to do it. Yeah, if you don't know who you're selling to, how do you know what they want from you? How do you know what content to create if you don't know what they need to see? Yeah? So understanding who your audience is a really important part of this process. So give them a name. Yeah, I always give them a name. So that when I'm creating content, I'm like, what would Sarah think of this? What would John see in this? Give them an age range. So rather than just an age, give them an age range. The way that you sell a product to a 25-year-old is very different to how you would sell it to an 80-year-old. Same product. Yeah, it might be the same product, exactly the same thing. So like skincare, for example, could work for both, but you'll sell it to them very differently. What kind of income do they have? And what kind of job title do they do? So who are they? Start to really understand who they are, what their needs might be, and what are their goals in life. So from an environmental point of view, it might be that they want to live a more environmentally conscious life. Yeah, that they want to be more specific about what they do, make better choices in what they buy or what they use at home. Yeah, so what are their goals? Their challenges to that might be a perceived cost. Yeah, it might be that they're the only one in the household who feels like that. Yeah, I recycle absolutely everything as much as I can. My partner can never be bothered. The amount of stuff I pick out the bin. But what are their challenges? What are their hobbies and interests? So what do they have outside of what you do that they might be interested in? Because actually that's normally where you find those conversations. Yeah? What are their priorities? So what's really important to them? Is it important to them that they buy local? Is it important to them that they buy from a family business? Is it important for them that you're a smaller business and not Amazon? Yeah? What are their relevant USPs? So you as a business, what do you bring that nobody else does? What's your unique selling point to them? And what are your calls to action? Yeah, so what do they need? Do they want to discover? Do they want to find out now? Do they want to buy more? Buy now? Book now? What's going to get them to do what you want them to do? That's your calls to action. And that will vary massively. It might be a hell yeah. Depends on your audience and who you are as an organisation. But you have to understand this. If you don't know who this is, how do you know which social media platform they're on? You're guessing without this. So this is really, really important. It kind of strips it back. You might already have this information. If you do, start thinking about, well, where do they hang out online? If you haven't already added that in, where am I most likely to find them? Yeah, because that's really what you want to do, is to be able to meet them where they are. The other part of this is storytelling. So once you know who it is that your audience is and who it's important to you to connect with, what story can you tell them about who you are? So what's your story? Who are you? What makes your business different? Why should they want to buy from you? All of that is about your storytelling. There's a couple of examples for this. One is Patagonia. On the one side of the spectrum, so I'm going to show you a much smaller business in a second as well. So this is 5.5 million followers nearly on Instagram, so really large business. But Patagonia are one for me of the real true examples of somebody who live, work true to their word. Yeah, they are premium. Yeah, so in the outdoor market and the outdoor clothing market, they are not Mountain Warehouse. Yeah, they are the opposite end of the spectrum to this. Yeah, so Patagonia are very much about environmentally friendly and clothes that are designed to last for decades. Yeah, some of their clothing and some of their equipment, they guarantee for life. Yeah, you pay the premium for that. Trust me, my 22-year-old is having a Patagonia coat for his birthday. Off everybody. Yeah, we are clubbing together for it because it's expensive. But he's massive in his outdoor world, in the outdoors. It's what he does. Did Snowdon for his birthday at the weekend. But they live what they talk about. Yeah. So this, for example, is a post where they're talking about the stuff that makes stuff waterproof. Great at repelling water and oil, but they're really good at polluting rivers, etc. By 2025, we're making all membranes and waterproof propellant finishes without that particular product. It's taken 15 years for them to get there, but they're doing it. And they're very much, we're not there yet, but we're working on it. Yeah, they don't claim to have everything and to be perfect, but they do claim to be working on it, and it's that's important. Yeah, and they talk about these things all the time. They're also very good at building their community. So they have lots of micro-influencers that they work with who talk about their products, but they show them in the real world. Yeah, and they rarely do kind of your Foster's catalogue type pose, if you're old enough to remember that. Yeah, I'm showing my age a little bit there. But they don't do those kinds of photo shoots. Their photo shoots are products in use, and they concentrate around their micro-influencers to show that. And then on the complete reverse side of the spectrum, this is a lady who I know through networking locally, Lynn Lapworth. She is Eco for All is her business. She advises homes, business, corporate on how to live more environmentally friendly, and it's very much about making small steps, making big changes. Yeah, so this is Lynn, completely the opposite. She's only got 771 followers on Instagram, but she very much is all about, everything she talks about is very genuine. It's very transparent. She talks about those things that are important. She shares other people's content, so that's off LinkedIn, where she connects with businesses. So she'll go in and do kind of like lunch and learns with businesses to help staff learn more and help teams and stuff learn more. She also does, I don't know if you can read it here, but she does a lot of litter picking. So she'll film herself out and about litter picking, the strange things that she finds on her journeys. Number of knives she's had to hand into the police station, you wouldn't believe. But Lynn is just a normal person, if that makes sense. She's not Patagonia, but she still does exactly the same things. Yeah, she talks about the stuff that's important to her. She lives that life. Yeah, you would never catch her with a Costa coffee cup in her hand because she would never dream of even going near one. Yeah, so she lives very much everything that she preaches, and she shares that in terms of her content. So you don't have to be big business to do it. Yeah, it is possible to do it on a much smaller scale. She does kind of like Good News she does Good News Fridays, and she also does WTF Wednesdays with kind of like the shock stories around the environmental situation. But the good news stuff is about advances that have been made with certain products or chemicals, that kind of stuff. So a couple of top tips for you as we kind of come towards the end of my half hour with you. So the first one is to be transparent. Yeah? No greenwashing. If you're not genuinely that way, don't try and be it, because not only will you be caught out, but you will come across as being not genuine. And you have to be genuine. You have to be transparent about what you're doing. So like I said, if you're living within the environmental world and you're talking about those things and you're letting people know what they should be doing, you can't do that Costa coffee, this is my coffee inspiration for the day with a Costa coffee cup in your hand. It's not going to work for you. Use the tools that the platforms give you. Yeah? So things like Reels. Yeah, we know that Reels are favoured in the algorithms on Instagram. Stories, one of the best ways to be able to get to the top of your followers' feeds, but you have to do them regularly. Hashtags, using the right hashtags. You don't have to use 30. Instagram will tell you that you don't have to use 30. Use 2 or 3 on LinkedIn. You don't have to put them on Facebook at all. They're not part of the language. But on Instagram, you need to be kind of like between 5 and 8 is all you really need. And again, hashtag love. Is that really genuine to your brand? It's also being used by about 4 billion people. So you're not going to be heard in that noise anyway. Yeah, so think about hashtags, do your research. If there's a hashtag that you think, I think that applies to what I'm doing, do a search for it first. Yeah? You can create your own hashtags as well. So create hashtags around your own language and around your own business. Yeah, you don't own the hashtag. Other people would be able to use it, but around your own brand, around your own brand name, absolutely. So Lynn will use hashtag eco for all, for example, as part of what she does. You don't own it, yeah, but you can talk about it, and it can also help to collect some of your information together and your content together. But use those platforms. Yeah, Reels, get creative with them. You don't have to be in them. Yeah, but if you are in them, better. We like faces. We like that human contact. We like those things. Unfortunately, if you hate videos, I'm sorry. But they do get easier. I promise you that much. They do get easier to make. Another tip for you is to be responsive. Yeah, if I came up to you in the street and said, oh my God, I heard your talk last week. It was fantastic. Would you walk away and come back 3 days later and expect me to still be there? No. Would you go and walk away? Probably not. But we do that online all the time. Yeah? So be responsive. Even the really big brands, so like Patagonia. So on the back of that post that I showed you, this is them being responsive. This is them going back with further information, with comments, with those kinds of things. Now, they don't do that forever. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. So if comments started appearing 6 or 7 days later, they probably wouldn't go back to them as much then because they've moved on to the next post. However, you can as a smaller business. It's one of your bigger, if you are a small business, of course, it's one of your superpowers is to be that person. Yeah, as a smaller individual or as a smaller business, yeah, you can create those conversations. It's what makes you different to everybody else and what makes you different to the bigger brands. That's a power that you have that they don't. Is about people understanding who you are in that know, like, and trust way. So with Lynn, for example, our entire network, if we've got a question around environmental, we go to Lynn. Yeah, and it's a fairly big women's network that I'm part of. But being responsive is about carrying on those conversations. And the amount of times I see on social media where somebody will say something and they'll have a comment about where can I buy this product or where can I find it or ask questions about it, and there's no response. Yeah, if a customer came up to you in a shop and said, I really like that product, but do you do it in blue instead of yellow? You wouldn't ignore them. Yeah, so don't ignore them online either. It's about being a part of that. And lean into your brand. What makes you, you? Now, unfortunately, that sometimes means that you have to reveal a little bit more about yourself than maybe you originally thought you would have to. But if you're passionate about something, share that passion. That's what we like about you, is that you share that passion. Yeah, that's what makes you you. That's what makes you stand out. So talk to people, have those conversations, share the things that are really important to you, yeah, so that they get my interest. Yeah, but be you. Yeah, it's a little bit, social media is a little bit like internet dating. Yeah, been there, done that many times, not doing it ever again. Well, hopefully not. But with internet dating, if you create a profile that isn't real and I turn up and meet you, I'm going to notice that straight away. Yeah, if you tell me you're 6'3", yeah, I'm 6'1" in heels, and I turn up and you're shorter than me, you're lying. Yeah, I know that that's the case right from the very start. Yeah, with social media, you have to be genuine. It's exactly the same thing. If I really like your products, I really like the things that you do, and then I meet you and you're not that person that I was expecting because you've created a false persona, it's not going to work for you. We have to know, like, and trust. Yeah, particularly if you're a considered purchase. If you're a couple of quid, does it matter if I don't? Probably not. But if it's more than that, and I'm genuinely passionate about something and I'm trying to make a change, I want somebody who matches that passion. And finally, the analytics side of it, measure your success. Yeah, so you can talk about stuff as much as you like, you can be in all of those different places, but if you're not measuring it, you're not understanding what works for you. And if you're a small business, if you're one of those people who put up your hands and said, we're busy, I'm really busy, yeah, then that's where that measurement can come in. Because measurement isn't just about saying how many followers you've got or how many posts you've put out, but understanding what worked and what didn't so that you can make better decisions in the future. This is something that I talk about a lot. It isn't just about the numbers. It isn't just about putting those numbers down, ticking the box and saying, I've done my measurement, and then off we go. It doesn't work like that. Measurement is the start of a conversation. What worked, what didn't work? How many people, if you're on social media and investing time in social media, how many people did it drive to where you want them to? How many people went onto your website and purchased? If you don't know that information, you're missing something. Yeah, you can have the best Facebook in the world, but if your audience aren't doing what you want them to, it's a complete waste of your time. You become a busy fool very quickly. You want to make sure that they're doing what you want them to, whether that's following you, recommending you, whatever that is, there's something there that you're trying to get them to do. So you need to make sure that you are measuring your success. So if you've got any questions, please ask away. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. If you want to grab me afterwards, once I've got my mic off, you're more than happy for you to talk to me then. I'm local. I don't have to be rushing off anywhere anytime soon. Or you can email me. So email me, amy@socialbee.co.uk. If you have a profile, if you're on Instagram or something like that, you want me to have a look at it for you, yeah, email me the link. I'll happily have a look at it for you and give you a quick constructive feedback. I will be honest, though. It's the Yorkshire in me, I'm afraid. I can't get away from that. But I will be very honest with you, but I will give you constructive feedback. Very few people take me up on that offer. It is a genuine offer, so please do that if you want my feedback that way. I'm more than happy to. Does anyone have any questions? Yes. There's a mic coming your way, sorry.
On Facebook, if you have followers, and obviously people do go to our website,
yeah.
If you are wanting more people to see, I know Facebook's changing all the time as regarding you used to ask people to share and like, and then I don't know whether it's analytics.
Analytics, yeah.
They change all the time.
Yeah.
How do you get more people without paying? Well, we do pay, but by paying extortionate.
From organically?
Yeah.
There's a couple of different ways, and there's a couple of different things I would say to you. One, it isn't easy for a start off. So it is possible, but it isn't necessarily easy. One of the biggest things is about regularity and consistency. So if you post 2 or 3 times a week, always post 2 or 3 times a week, because the algorithms like that. The algorithms don't like gaps. And very often what I see, particularly from small businesses, is there's a flurry of activity, then there's nothing for a while, then there's a couple, then there's nothing, then somebody goes on holiday and it's really busy, so that gets forgotten. It's about that regularity and consistency, because the algorithms really like that. The other thing is to get engagement as much as possible. So ask questions, on something like Instagram, stories where you've got little easy options, this or that kind of thing. All of that's interaction. They're much more likely to see your story if they've interacted with it. On Facebook, asking questions, carousels, because that encourages dwell time, so more than one image. Because that will give you the dwell time that the algorithm really likes, that shows that they're interested in your content. So those things can help. In terms of anything else, the problem that you have with kind of like asking people to share stuff is Facebook don't like you doing it. So you can do it every now and then, but don't do it too often. Avoid lots of links as well. Facebook have never actually said we don't like links in comments or captions. However, anecdotally, we know that it can restrict your reach a little bit. That's difficult if you've got an e-commerce site and you want to get people to go to it. But avoid necessarily putting that link in there on all of your posts. Kind of think about it that way. And kind of think about the different call to actions you can use as well. Because by now, lots of people, and I see this a lot, particularly with e-commerce, is a lot of the captions will kind of say, go to our website to buy. Don't want to go out to your website to buy because I'm not ready to buy it yet. I want to find out more first. Yeah, so think about a softer step in terms of your call to action to get people through to your website. If I see a buy now message, I'm going to expect to go to a product page that tells me to buy, rather than something that tells me more about you as a business or more about why I should buy from you rather than somebody else. And the harsh reality is that the majority of your audience are in that zone, not the ready to buy zone. For anyone who's interested in that kind of buyer journey, which applies to some degree to social media, there's a framework called the See, Think, Do, Care framework. I don't know if anybody's come across it. It's from Google, or it's one of the guys who created Google. In terms of digital marketing, it's actually ancient. It's been around for about 9 years, which is ancient from our perspective. But the See, Think, Do, Care framework talks about the buyer journey and how some people just aren't ready to buy yet. But if you tell them to, you're going to put them off. Alongside that, as part of the supporting document that goes with it, is something called the messy middle. It's all available on Google. It's all free. Have a look at it. So if you do a search for the See, Think, Do, Care framework or the STDC framework and the messy middle, that talks about that buyer journey and looking for buyer signals and how to encourage them. And some of that applies to Facebook and to Instagram and to social media in general. Does that help? Any other questions? As I said, if you want to grab me afterwards, I'm more than happy once I've got my mic off to have a chat. I'll be around. If you want a copy of the slides or you want to connect, then come and see me and I'm happy to take a business card. Yes?
The website, the Google See, whatever it was.
Oh, the See, Think, Do, Care? Yeah, it's not on here, but it is the See, Think, Do, Care. See, Think, Do, Care. Oh, no, as in see, as in I see something. So See, Think, Do, Care. It's, as I said, it's been around for a while, but it's a really good way of understanding your audiences. It's based on intent rather than who they are. So how strong is my intent to buy from you? And how weak it is. And it kind of explains that process, but have a look at that. If you want to find out more about us at Social Bee, we run lots of courses, all those kinds of things. You can go to our blogs, go to our newsletter, or our webinars. We've got some free webinars that you can download. So we've got one on there about GA4 and that kind of stuff. And a couple of other freebies on there. That will be me, I'm afraid, and my dulcet, slightly brummy tones. But that's it from me. As I said, if you've got any questions or you want to give me a card for a copy of the slides, please do. More than happy to do that for you. Follow us on socials, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm Amy Hobson UK on LinkedIn. And it's been lovely to see you and to meet you and be back at the NEC.